Hey, Spartan Engineers. I'm Jane Ivarian with the Center, and we're going to talk about your job search. Specifically, we're going to talk about how you can build an effective and efficient job search plan that works for you and yields results. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the recruiting and hiring landscape. I think it's very important for you to understand context, so we'll spend a minute or two just to talk about what's going on in this space. We'll talk about the job search and getting started with it. And some of you may be getting started. Some of you may already be in the midst of a job search, but I want to share some resources and links with you that can really help you with your search. And then we're going to drill in and talk for a few minutes about our job search strategy. So the recommendation that we give when we coach people on how to build their job search, and we call it the 70-30 plan. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the recruiting and hiring landscape. So if you've been paying attention to the news in 2025, you're hearing about economic uncertainty. You're hearing about the possibility of a recession. These things, could absolutely happen. But I can tell you this, anytime there's economic uncertainty, employers get a little uncomfortable. And sometimes they get more conservative in their hiring activity. That doesn't mean you're not going to find a job. It just might mean you need some of the strategies that we're going to talk about. Okay, the other thing you need to know about this landscape is that it's a bit unmanageable in terms of our recruiting and application environment. It's really easy for companies to post jobs. They post jobs on their company website. They're also using things like LinkedIn, Indeed, other job posting systems. They're posting on Handshake. They're posting all over the place. And what that means is they're going to get more volume in terms of response. So more resumes. Some recruiters are getting hundreds to thousands of resumes for just one job posting. And it's really hard to keep up with all of that. It's hard for HR, it's hard for recruiters, it's hard for hiring managers. You may feel like there are times when you apply to jobs and you feel ghosted. You feel like nobody's responding. You haven't heard anything. You may interview for jobs and never hear back from the company. Unfortunately, this is kind of the new normal. And it really means that yeah, you need to rely on technology when you're applying to jobs, but you also might need some actual human support. And we're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. So that's the recruiting and hiring landscape that we're in. I want to share with you some strategies that can help you with that. But before we do that, I want to share some resources for you. We've built a beautiful page off of our website called Get Career Help. Pretty much anything you need to get ready for self-marketing, to be prepared for networking, interviewing, managing offers, it's all on that website. So I'm going to go over real quick and we're going to take a look at it. Okay, so you should see the Get Career Help page within our site. There's lots of good stuff here. I think the best place to start is our job search checklist. This thing is an awesome document in that it gives you this step-by-step approach on how you build and manage your job search. Step-by-step process. You'll find things in here about, how to build your resume, how to build a cover letter, how to get your Handshake and LinkedIn profiles ready to go, which are really, really important, how to build job search alerts, how to beat the bot. So when you're applying to jobs, what are the strategies that you can use to get through the application tracking software or the resume scanning tools? We share information about pitching and interviewing and offer management. There's lots of good stuff in this step-by-step approach to managing your job search. So make sure you download this document. It's called the Job Search Checklist, right here on our Get Career Help page. That checklist will often drive you to other subsections within Get Career Help, the resume section, tools that you need to build a powerful and persuasive resume, including access to VMOC, which is our resume design tool, cover letter support and samples, how to effectively optimize Handshake and LinkedIn. Again, how do you beat the bot when you apply to jobs? And when I say the bot, I mean the application tracking software or any sort of resume scanning tool. How do you pitch, during career fairs, during networking events? How do you build a really strong community of people in your network who are working at companies and in jobs of interest? How do you effectively interview? How do you manage offers? It's all here on Get Career Help. So I just wanted to highlight this page and urge you to download the job search checklist. Okay, let's head back to our slide deck. So we talked a little bit about the resources, not only for getting started in your search, but if you're in the midst of your search and maybe you need a little more support, maybe you need some more strategies, maybe you need more organization in your search process, it's all there on our Get Career Help page. So let's talk about your actual search. And this is when we get into the 70-30 plan. And really all this is just our recommendation on how you optimize your time. You're busy people, you're students, you've got a lot going on. You may be a recent graduate, you're still busy, you've got a lot happening. So how do you effectively build a job search that can yield results? Again, the 70-30 plan. We suggest that 70% of your time is dedicated to applying to jobs in the public job market. That means company websites where you find job postings, LinkedIn, Indeed, and of course, Handshake. So use job posting sites to apply to jobs, 70% of your time. The other 30% of your time is you making a company list, finding Spartans, or really anyone who works at that company might be working in a role that you're interested in, and doing some outreach. Because the idea here is you're trying to expand your community of people who are working at companies and in jobs of interest, because ultimately those people might be able to help you. That's the 70-30 plan. Okay, so let's get more granular and dive into some details about each of these areas. So strategies for your 70% effort. Again, this comes back to applying to jobs. Strategy 1, make sure your resume is ATS compliant or ATS friendly. Again, ATS stands for Application Tracking Software. Many companies use this software to help them manage all these resumes and applications that they get. Even if a company isn't using ATS, they're often using some sort of resume scanning tool. A lot of these resume scanning tools are not very sophisticated. They really struggle interpreting templates, columns, graphics, tables, color, anything that could be disruptive, they can struggle with. So we urge you to just create a plain resume, type it out in Word. The ATS, the resume scanning tool, doesn't really care what your resume looks like. It's just scanning for keywords. So prepare it in Word, save it to a PDF, and use that document. So that's strategy 1. Make sure you've got an ATS compliant resume. Strategy 2, keyword matching. So remember I said that these resume scanning tools, pretty much all they're doing when they review your resume is just scanning for keywords. Usually those keywords are coming from the job posting. So here's the thing, take that job posting, take a look at the responsibilities, the qualification section, and really start looking for the keywords and skills that they're looking for. Put that up against your resume and ask yourself, do I have enough of these keywords in my resume? All right, here's the thing. Before AI, this could take you hours to customize your resume for each job that you apply to. Now you can use VMock, which is our resume design tool. As long as you have a resume in VMock, you can then upload a job description. VMock will make a list of all of the keywords from the job posting, and then it's going to give you advice on how to improve your resume to better match. You can also use ChatGPT. You can upload the job description, upload your resume into ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT to make a list of all of the keywords in the job description. Then you can ask ChatGPT, help me improve my resume to include more keywords to better align with this job description. And it'll give you some advice. Make sure you don't lie. Make sure that you're not creating things that aren't real. But again, use some of these artificial intelligence tools to help you. You're going to create more efficiency in your search. It's going to allow you to apply for more jobs. Okay, so that's strategy 1 and strategy 2 for when you apply to jobs. Strategy 3, this is where we get into that whole human support. Because up to this point, you've been using technology to do all of the work in your job search and your applications. So strategy 3 is what we call fast networking. And the idea behind this is you apply for the job, you go to the company on LinkedIn. So you find the company on LinkedIn, you find people that work there. Ideally, you're looking for Spartans, and you start to do some connection requests. And if you can get somebody to accept your connection, then your next move is to ask to chat with them for 10 or 15 minutes of time. If they'll chat with you, this is your opportunity. You can ask them about their experience at the company. You can tell them why you're really interested and enthusiastic about the company. Ask for a little bit of advice. If the vibe feels good, if they feel pretty warm and friendly, you could even ask for a recommendation. You might be able to ask them if they're willing to get your resume in front of the hiring manager. Okay, you'll notice on the slide that when I mention fast networking, I also say you're typically not targeting HR people. Okay, the reason behind that is HR, they can't be biased. They can't necessarily support you in this process. They're likely just going to tell you, just, wait to hear from us. You're not necessarily getting advocacy from HR, unless, of course, they reach out to you first. Or it's a company that we in the center already have a really strong established relationship with. And, these HR folks want to hear specifically from you. But generally speaking, your fast networking efforts shouldn't be targeting HR. You typically want to target people who might be working in the area that you've applied to. And if you can't find anybody in that department or that functional area, try anyone. You're trying to get some human support, trying to get closer to get your resume to move to the interview pod. The other thing I want to say to you about applying to jobs, sometimes people feel a little nervous about applying to a job where maybe they don't match, 90% of everything that's being asked for. I wouldn't worry about that if I were you. Job postings are wish lists. If you match at about 30% or more of what's on the job description, I say go for it, apply, and use these strategies to help you. Okay, so that's 70% of your effort in this job search plan. What's the other 30% of your time look like? Well, this has nothing to do with job postings. This is just about expanding your community of people who work at companies and in jobs that you're interested in. Again, you're trying to expand your community. The more people that know that you're looking, that you're seeking, that you're trying to get a job in this field, potentially the more people you have helping you. So how does this work? First, make a list of companies I usually recommend small and medium-sized companies being the bulk of your list because it's often easier to talk to somebody who's at a smaller or medium-sized company. If you're not sure how to make a list, there are amazing lists of companies in Handshake, which I'll show you in a minute or two. You can Google something like show me small and medium-sized software firms in the Detroit area. You'll get a list. Once you make this list, you can start with 10 to 30 companies. You want to identify people who work at that company. Now, I usually advise that you target people who are working at mid-level or higher, like director level. They might be an associate director. There's somebody who's worked in the field, maybe not at that company, but they've worked in the field for maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years. Why are you targeting these people? Well, usually people who've been working in the field for a little bit longer have a bigger network. So if they can't help you, maybe they can recommend somebody else that might be willing to talk with you, that might be hiring. So this is why you're usually targeting people who've been around for a little bit longer. Once you find these folks on LinkedIn, start doing outreach, start doing connection requests. If you feel like you're not making a whole lot of progress there, you can do some research to try to see if you can find their work email addresses. If you do that, you want to be really careful in the way you outreach to them. But a lot of this is about just saying, hey, I'm interested in your background. I really like what your company does. I'd love to chat with you for a few minutes. I'm trying to expand my network. Okay, so the idea here is that it's not about targeting job postings. It's about building your community of people who work at companies and in jobs that you're interested in. Okay, so that's 30% of your time. We talked about 70-30. Let's just pop over to Handshake for a minute or two because I want to show you a couple of things that could help you in your search. So let me get over there. All right, so this is my student Handshake page. I'm in the Career Center section. One of the things I love that you can see right away, if you scroll down just a little bit, you can see this thing called Michigan State University Collections. Look at this. You can see, who hires Spartan engineers over the past couple of years. This is a list of engineering employer partners and their job postings. So if you're civil and environmental, there's a collection of companies there as well. So let's just go in quickly. I mean, if you're trying to build a company list, you're trying to find companies, you're trying to find jobs, what a great place to look in this MSU collection section. So just if we take a look, you can see, look at all of these different companies. This is great and a really good resource for you. So that's collections. Use it. It'll help you build your company list. It'll help you get a better sense of who's hiring Spartans. The other thing I would highly recommend that you do, I'm going over to the jobs area. Handshake tries to send you full-time jobs, internships, things that you're interested in based on what it knows about you. So first and foremost, make sure you get your profile completed. If you need help with that, go back to the job search checklist because there's a space there that will help you, guide you on building your profile. But the other thing is you can use filters in the jobs tab to help Handshake understand more about what you're looking for. Lots of ways to filter here. Use this filter function to help you better target job postings, to help Handshake do a better job of sending you things you might be interested in. Okay, so those are just a few quick tips in Handshake that can help you with your 70-30 plan, your internship and job search plan. Okay. So what do you do next? Well, here's what I think you do next. I think you go to Get Career Help and take a look at what's there. I think you download and review the job search strategy checklist and you follow those steps. Take the time to get all of your self-marketing materials ready. Work on your resume, work on your Handshake profile, finish out your LinkedIn profile. Start making sure that you're ready. Build your job search alerts and then initiate your 70-30 plan. I know you're going to see some success. And if you have questions about any of this, just reach out to us at the center. All right, I hope this was helpful and I wish you great success in your job search.